The afternoon was quiet in the way only a child's room could be, sunlight spilling across the carpet, dust floating lazily in the air, the soft rustle of turning pages. Ethan sat cross-legged on the floor, his small voice steady as he read aloud from his favorite picture book. He stumbled over a few words, cheeks warming, then tried again. Across from him, the puppy lay stretched out, chin resting on its paws, eyes half closed as if drifting toward sleep. At first, nothing felt unusual. Just a boy practicing his reading. Just a puppy enjoying the sound of a familiar voice. Then the puppy's ears twitched. Ethan kept reading unaware, his finger tracing the lines. The puppy lifted its head slowly, eyes suddenly alert. It let out a small whine, soft, questioning. Ethan paused, smiling. "It's okay," he whispered, thinking the puppy was just restless. But the puppy didn't settle. It stood, patted closer, and pressed its nose gently against Ethan's book, nudging it down. When Ethan tried to lift the book again, the puppy placed a paw on his knee, trembling just slightly, eyes locked onto his face. Confusion flickered through Ethan. Had he done something wrong? His chest tightened with that familiar fear of not being good enough. The puppy whined again, louder this time, tail stiff, body angled protectively toward him. Ethan's heart began to beat faster. He wasn't scared, but something felt different. Important. The puppy wasn't asking for attention. It was trying to tell him something. Before we continue, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching dog stories. And tell me, where are you watching from? The house was quiet in the early afternoon. Not silent, just settled. The kind of quiet that came after lunch, when dishes were drying on the rack and sunlight leaned lazily through the windows. Outside, a breeze moved the leaves just enough to whisper. Inside, the air smelled faintly of laundry soap and crayons. Ethan sat on the carpet of his bedroom, cross-legged, back straight the way his teacher had shown him. A book rested open in his hands. The letters were large, friendly, bright with pictures, a story he had read before or tried to read before. He took a breath, steadying himself, and began again. Once upon a time. His voice was soft, careful. Each word came out measured, like he was stepping across stones in a stream, testing each one before putting his weight down. Across from him lay Milo. The puppy was small, still awkward in the way young dogs were. Two big paws. Ears that hadn't decided what shape they wanted to be yet. His coat was a warm mix of tan and white, catching the sunlight in uneven patches. Milo's chin rested on his paws. His eyes were half closed. His tail lay loose behind him. Content. This was their routine. Every afternoon after school, Ethan read. And Milo listened. At least that was how Ethan liked to think of it. When Milo first came home from the shelter, he had followed Ethan everywhere. The kitchen, the hallway, the bathroom door. But it was during reading time that he always settled. As if this quiet space on the floor was where he belonged. Ethan moved his finger along the page as he read. The little bear went into the woods. He paused. Swallowed. The next word stuck. His eyebrows pulled together. His lips moved silently as he tried to sound it out. Milo's ear twitched. Just once. Ethan didn't notice. He tried again. Woo-woo. He stopped. The familiar heat crept up his neck. Not panic. Not exactly. Just that tight feeling in his chest. The one that came when words didn't do what he asked them to do. It's okay, he whispered to himself. He had learned to say that. Milo's eyes opened fully now. Dark. Focused. His head lifted an inch off his paws. Ethan finally pushed through the word and continued, his voice quieter than before. Went into the woods to find his friend. A small sound broke the room. A whine. Soft. Almost polite. Ethan glanced up. Milo was looking at him. Not the book. Him. Oh, Ethan said gently. He smiled. You bored? Milo didn't wag his tail. Instead, he shifted closer. Just a step. His nose hovered near the edge of the book. Ethan laughed under his breath. You want to see the pictures? He tilted the book slightly, showing the bright page. For a moment Milo leaned in, sniffed. Then his body stiffened, not with fear but with attention. His ears angled forward. His tail lifted just enough to show alertness. Another small whine slipped out. Ethan's smile faded. He looked around his room. Everything was the same. His bed. His backpack against the wall. The open window letting in warm air. "I'm reading," he told Milo, as if explaining might help. He raised the book again. Milo moved. Not fast. Not rough. He stepped forward and nudged the book downward with his nose. Ethan blinked. "Hey," he murmured, confused. "I have to practice." He tried to lift the book once more. This time Milo placed a paw on Ethan's knee. It was light, barely pressure at all. But it stopped him. Ethan froze. The room felt different suddenly. Not scary, just focused. Like the moment before a thunderstorm, when the air held its breath. "Milo," Ethan whispered. The puppy's eyes stayed locked on his face. Not playful. Not distracted. His body leaned slightly toward Ethan, protective, instinctive. His paw trembled. Ethan's heart began to beat faster. He lowered the book without realizing it. "What's wrong?" he asked. Milo answered with another whine. A little louder now. His tail went still. His ears flicked back and forth, listening, not to the room but to Ethan. Ethan felt something tighten behind his eyes. He hadn't noticed when it started. The way his throat felt sore. The way his head felt heavy. The way the words had seemed blurrier today than usual. He hadn't said anything. He never did. Milo stepped closer until his chest touched Ethan's knee. Then he sat. Solid. Present. Ethan's breath hitched. "I'm okay," he said, though his voice wavered. Milo didn't move. Didn't look away. Didn't believe him. The sunlight shifted across the floor as a cloud passed outside. The room dimmed slightly, then brightened again. Ethan lowered his head. His fingers loosened around the book. For the first time that afternoon he stopped trying to read. And in the quiet that followed, he realized the puppy wasn't interrupting him. Milo was listening to something else. Something Ethan hadn't said out loud. He reached out slowly, rested his hand against Milo's warm fur. The puppy leaned into the touch at once, steady grounding. Ethan closed his eyes. Just for a second. He didn't know why his chest felt so heavy. He didn't know why his voice felt stuck. But Milo knew. And he wasn't going anywhere. Not now. Not ever. The quiet didn't break right away. It stretched. Gentle. Patient. Ethan stayed where he was on the carpet, one hand resting in Milo's fur, the other still holding the book, though it had slipped closed without him noticing. His breathing slowed, but not completely. Each inhale felt shallow, like he wasn't quite sure how much air he was allowed to take. Milo felt it. Dogs always did. His body adjusted subtly. His weight shifted closer to Ethan's leg. His shoulder pressed in, not pushing, just there. His breathing matched Ethan's within a few seconds, slow and even, the way mother dogs calm their pups. Outside, a car passed. Inside, Milo's ears flicked, then settled again. His attention never left Ethan. "You're heavy," Ethan whispered, a faint smile tugging at his mouth. Milo's tail gave one small sweep against the carpet. But he didn't move away. Ethan leaned back against the bed frame. The wood was cool through his shirt. He opened the book again, more out of habit than intention. "Okay," he said softly. "Just one more page." Milo watched the book rise. His ears lifted. His posture tightened just a little. Ethan cleared his throat and began. The little bear felt scared. His voice cracked. He stopped, stared at the page. The letters swam slightly, as if they were moving when he wasn't looking directly at them. He blinked hard. Tried again. Felt scared when he couldn't find. The word wouldn't come. Milo stood. Not abruptly. Deliberately. He stepped directly between Ethan and the book, blocking the page with his body. His head lifted, eyes wide and intent, tail straight out behind him. Ethan frowned. Milo, I can still see, he said, gently amused despite himself. He tilted the book to the side. Milo countered. He moved with it. Again. And again. Each time Ethan tried to read, the puppy repositioned himself, quietly but insistently interrupting the line of sight. Why are you doing that? Ethan asked. His voice was calm, curious, but beneath it, something fluttered, uncertainty. The kind he felt at school when the teacher paused too long beside his desk. Milo didn't answer. He sat, squarely, facing Ethan, his back to the book. His eyes never blinked. A low whine vibrated in his chest. Not loud, not panicked, just concerned. Ethan lowered the book slowly. The puppy relaxed a fraction. Ethan noticed then, really noticed, how Milo's ears weren't relaxed the way they usually were during play. They angled forward and back, tracking Ethan's breathing. How his tail wasn't wagging, but it wasn't tucked either. Neutral. Ready. Alert. You think I should stop? Ethan asked, half joking. Milo leaned forward, pressed his forehead lightly into Ethan's stomach. Ethan sucked in a breath. It felt strange, comforting and overwhelming at the same time. His throat tightened without warning. I'm fine, he said quickly. Milo pulled back just enough to look at him. The puppy's head tilted. He sniffed the air near Ethan's face, then his hands, then his chest. His nose lingered there longer than anywhere else. Ethan shivered. The room felt warmer suddenly. Or maybe that was just him. Hey, he whispered. You're being weird. Milo's tail thumped once. Then he turned, padded to the door and sat. He looked back at Ethan. Waited. Ethan followed his gaze. The hallway beyond was empty. Do you want out? Ethan asked. Milo didn't move. Didn't scratch. Didn't whine again. He just looked back at Ethan, then at the door, then back at Ethan. Something about it made Ethan's stomach twist. I can't, Ethan said. I'm supposed to read for 20 minutes. The words came automatically. Rules lived in his bones. Milo stood and walked back to him. Slow. Measured. He placed his front paws on Ethan's thighs and leaned in, careful not to knock him over. His nose brushed Ethan's chin, then his cheek. A soft lick. Salty. Warm. Ethan laughed weakly. Okay, he murmured. But his eyes burned. He hadn't cried. Not yet. He felt like he might though. Like the feeling had been circling all afternoon, waiting for a reason. Milo seemed to know that too. He climbed fully into Ethan's lap, clumsy, all legs and puppy weight, and curled himself there, turning once then twice until he settled with his head pressed against Ethan's chest. The book slid from Ethan's fingers onto the carpet. Neither of them noticed. Ethan wrapped his arms around Milo without thinking. His face pressed into the soft fur at the puppy's neck. He breathed in that warm, clean, slightly grassy smell that all dogs seem to carry. His shoulders sagged. I don't like it when I mess up, he whispered. Milo's tail thumped slowly against the floor. I try really hard, Ethan said. But the words don't stay where they're supposed to. His voice trembled now. He swallowed. I don't want to read anymore today. The confession felt heavy, relieving. Milo responded instantly. He shifted his weight and pressed closer, his body solid and steady, like he was anchoring Ethan in place. His breathing deepened. His eyes closed, but his ears stayed alert. The puppy wasn't asleep. He was guarding. Ethan rested his cheek against Milo's head. Tears slid silently down his face, soaking into fur. He didn't wipe them away. He didn't have to. Milo let out a long, slow sigh. The kind dogs made when they were sure they were exactly where they were needed. From down the hall came the faint sound of dishes clinking. Parent moving through the kitchen. Life continuing unaware. But in Ethan's room, something small and important was happening. This was the first sign. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a quiet moment where a puppy understood what a child couldn't yet explain. And chose to stay anyway. Right there. Holding the space. Listening with his whole body. The moment didn't last forever. It never did. A few minutes later, Footsteps sounded in the hallway. Light. Familiar. The gentle rhythm of someone who knew the house by heart. Ethan wiped his face quickly with the back of his sleeve, not wanting to be seen like this. Milo lifted his head at once, ears pricking, body still pressed protectively against Ethan's chest. "Ethan," his mom called softly. "How's reading going?" Ethan hesitated. Milo felt it. His body stiffened just enough for Ethan to notice. The puppy's eyes shifted toward the door, then back to Ethan as if weighing something. "Good," Ethan said quickly. The word came out too fast. Too bright. His mom appeared in the doorway, leaning against the frame with a small smile. She carried a folded towel under one arm, her hair pulled back, a smudge of soap still on her wrist. "I thought I heard you talking," she said. "You're supposed to read out loud, remember?" Ethan nodded. Milo didn't. The puppy slid off Ethan's lap and positioned himself squarely between Ethan and the door. He didn't bark. He didn't growl. He just stood there, legs braced, tail low but steady. His mom raised an eyebrow. "Well," she said lightly, "someone's very serious about his job today." Ethan forced a laugh. "He's just being silly." Milo glanced back at Ethan, then returned his focus to the doorway. His mom stepped forward. Milo shifted with her, mirroring the movement, keeping himself aligned with Ethan. That caught her attention. "Milo," she said gently. "It's okay." She reached down to pat his head. Milo didn't move away, but he didn't lean into the touch either. His ears flicked back briefly. His body stayed tense. Ethan's chest tightened. "He's probably tired," Ethan said. "He keeps interrupting me." His mom smiled sympathetically. "Puppies do that. They get bored." Milo let out a low, uneasy whine. Ethan winced. "See," he said quickly. "He just wants attention." His mom chuckled. "I can take him out for a bit if he's distracting you." She took another step closer. Milo stepped sideways, blocking. Ethan's heart started to race again. "Milo," he whispered. "Stop." The puppy looked up at him. Really looked. His eyes softened. His posture wavered. For a second it seemed like he might listen. Then Ethan's mom reached for the book on the floor. Milo reacted instantly. He turned and placed his paw firmly on the book, pinning it to the carpet. His head lowered slightly. Not aggressive, just protective. His tail went completely still. The room froze. Ethan's mom paused mid-motion. "Oh," she said quietly. Ethan's stomach dropped. "He's not supposed to do that," Ethan said, panic creeping into his voice. "Milo, no." He reached for the puppy's collar, gentle but firm. Milo didn't resist. But he didn't let go of the book either. His mom straightened slowly. "It's okay," she said, her tone calm but thoughtful now. "I think he's trying to tell us something." Ethan shook his head. "No," he said quickly. "He does this sometimes. He just doesn't like when I read." The words tasted bitter as soon as they left his mouth. Milo lifted his head and looked at him. Something passed between them, confusion, hurt, loyalty. The puppy removed his paw from the book. He sat, quiet, still. Ethan felt a sharp ache in his chest. "There," Ethan said, too relieved. "See? He's fine." His mom studied Milo for a moment longer. Then she smiled again, lighter this time. "Well," she said, "as long as you're okay." She picked up the book and handed it back to Ethan. 10 more minutes, she said gently. "Then you can take a break." She ruffled Ethan's hair and turned to leave. Milo watched her go. His ears stayed pinned back long after she disappeared down the hall. Ethan stared at the book in his hands. The letters looked heavier now, like they carried weight. "You messed up," Ethan whispered to Milo. The puppy glanced at him, uncertain. "You weren't supposed to do that," Ethan continued. "Now she thinks you're being bad." Milo's tail gave a small, confused wag. He inched closer. Ethan sighed. "I'm sorry," he said, rubbing his face. I don't want to get in trouble." Milo pressed his nose into Ethan's hand. Warm. Forgiving. Ethan opened the book again. His throat tightened immediately. He forced himself to start. "The little bear," he read. The words scraped on the way out. Milo watched him closely. Every stumble, every pause. Each time Ethan's voice wavered, Milo's ears twitched. His body leaned forward, ready to intervene again. But this time he didn't. He stayed still, waiting. Ethan misread that too. He thought the puppy had finally understood. That he was behaving. Ethan pushed himself harder. His breathing grew shallow. His fingers gripped the page too tightly. His eyes burned, but he refused to stop. Milo began to shake. Just slightly. His paw lifted off the carpet, then set back down again. A soft whine escaped his throat, barely audible. Ethan didn't hear it. He was too focused on getting through the sentence. Outside, the sky darkened as clouds slid over the sun. The room dimmed again, shadows stretching longer across the floor. Milo's instincts screamed quietly. Something was wrong. Ethan was pushing past a line he couldn't see. And this time, the puppy wasn't sure if he was allowed to help. The words came slower now. Ethan felt each one before he spoke it, like stepping barefoot across cold tile. His voice grew thin, careful, controlled. He didn't look at Milo anymore. He stared at the page as if the letters might behave better if he watched them closely enough. They didn't. Milo watched everything. The way Ethan's shoulders crept upward. The way his breathing lost its rhythm. The way his fingers trembled slightly at the corner of the page. The puppy shifted his weight. Once. Then again. A soft sound slipped from his chest. Not quite a whine, not quite a bark. A warning meant only for those who understood him. Ethan didn't. "The bear went on alone," Ethan read. He paused. Swallowed. Milo stood. Slowly. His nails clicked once against the hardwood as he moved closer. His tail was no longer loose. It hovered at half-mast, stiff with concern. His ears angled forward, then back again, as if he were trying to listen inside Ethan's chest. "Milo," Ethan murmured without looking up. "Please." The word please carried more weight than he intended. Milo stopped. For a moment he obeyed. Ethan pushed on. The sentence stretched too long. The letters blurred. His heart thudded against his ribs, louder now, harder. He could feel the pressure building behind his eyes again, that hot swelling ache he hated. Then it happened. His voice cracked. Just a little. But Milo heard it. The puppy moved instantly, stepping in front of the book again, blocking the page with his body. He didn't touch it this time. He didn't need to. His presence alone was enough. Ethan flinched. "I said stop," he whispered sharply. Milo's ears flattened. He didn't retreat. He lowered himself into a sit, planted firmly between Ethan and the book, gaze fixed upward. His chest rose and fell faster than before. His mouth opened slightly, breath shallow. Concern had turned into urgency. Ethan felt it like static in the air. "I have to finish," he said, his voice shaking now. "I just have to." Milo let out a low whine. Longer this time. Ethan slammed the book shut. The sound echoed louder than it should have. Milo startled, then immediately stepped closer. Ethan's hands curled into fists. "Why won't you let me do this?" he asked, tears spilling over now, hot and sudden. "Everyone else can. Why can't I just read like I'm supposed to?" Milo pressed his forehead gently into Ethan's stomach. Ethan shoved him away. Not hard, but enough. The puppy stumbled back a step, surprised. The room went very still. Ethan covered his face with his hands, shoulders shaking. He hadn't meant to do that. The guilt hit instantly, sharp and heavy. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't mean." Milo recovered quickly. He always did. He stepped forward again, slower now, more cautious. His tail lowered. His ears softened. He approached Ethan the way dogs approach frightened animals, sideways, careful, giving space while offering comfort. Ethan dropped his hands. "I don't want you to get in trouble," he said through tears. "I don't want Mom to think I'm bad at this." Milo stopped inches away. Then he lay down. right on top of the book. His full body stretched across it, paws tucked, chin resting on the closed cover. Defiant, gentle, final. Ethan stared at him. Milo. The puppy didn't move, didn't blink. His eyes stayed on Ethan's face, calm but unyielding. His breathing slowed deliberately, deep and steady, as if he were trying to teach Ethan how to breathe again. Ethan's chest heaved. He tried to inhale. Came out as a sob. That was when the knock came. A soft tap on the door frame. Ethan, his dad's voice called from the hallway. Lower. More cautious. Everything okay in there? Milo's head snapped up. His ears perked. His body tensed again, but he didn't leave the book. Ethan wiped his face quickly, panic flaring. Yeah, he said, too fast again. I'm just reading. His dad appeared in the doorway, still in his work jacket, keys in hand. He took in the scene in one quiet glance. The book on the floor, the puppy sprawled protectively across it, Ethan's red eyes. His gaze softened. Milo giving you a hard time? His dad asked gently. Ethan nodded. Milo looked between them, uncertain now. His tail thumped once against the carpet, a nervous gesture. His dad stepped inside. As he did, Milo shifted, not blocking this time but staying close to Ethan, positioning himself at his side. Protective but not confrontational. He's been doing that all afternoon, Ethan said. He won't let me read. His dad crouched down, held out his hand for Milo to sniff. Milo did briefly, then looked back at Ethan. His dad noticed. That's interesting, he murmured. He glanced at Ethan again. How are you feeling, buddy? Ethan shrugged. I'm fine. Milo let out a sharp, sudden whine. Both of them looked at him. The puppy's body leaned toward Ethan again, tail stiff, ears forward. He stared at Ethan's dad, then nudged Ethan's knee with his nose. Ethan's dad exhaled slowly. Sometimes, he said carefully, dogs notice things before we do. Ethan's heart pounded. I don't feel good, he admitted quietly. My head hurts. And the words, they won't stay still. Milo relaxed immediately, as if he'd been holding his breath. His dad nodded. Okay, he said. That's important. He reached for the book. Milo stiffened again just for a second. Then when Ethan's dad didn't push it toward Ethan, but instead slid it onto the nightstand, Milo softened. The puppy laid his head down again. Crisis delayed. Not over. But paused. Ethan leaned back against the bed, exhausted. His body felt heavy, like he'd run a long way without realizing it. I think, his dad said gently, we should stop for today. Ethan's eyes filled again, this time with relief. Milo sighed. Long. Deep. He stood, climbed back into Ethan's lap, and curled there like he had earlier, warm, solid, unmovable. The tension didn't vanish completely, but it loosened. Just enough. And for the first time Ethan understood something, even if he couldn't yet put it into words. Milo hadn't been trying to stop him from reading. He had been trying to stop something worse. Something only instinct could see. Something that was still waiting just beneath the surface. They didn't talk about it right away. That evening moved carefully, as if the house itself had decided to tread softly. Dinner was quieter than usual. The clink of forks against plates sounded louder than it should have. Ethan ate slowly, pushing food around more than actually tasting it. Milo stayed close. Too close, maybe. He lay under the table with his chin resting on Ethan's socked foot, one paw draped over it as if to make sure it didn't disappear. Every time Ethan shifted in his chair, Milo adjusted with him. Watching. Tracking. Protecting. Head still hurt. Ethan's dad asked gently. Ethan nodded. A little. Milo's ears flicked. His mom exchanged a glance with Ethan's dad. Not alarmed. Just thoughtful. The kind of look adults gave each other when they were putting pieces together without wanting to scare anyone. After dinner, Ethan tried to do homework at the kitchen table. Just math. Numbers usually behaved better than words. Usually. Tonight, even they felt slippery. Milo lay at his feet again. Not asleep. never fully asleep. Every few minutes, his head lifted, eyes scanning Ethan's face, his breathing. "Why is he staring at me?" Ethan whispered. His mom smiled softly. "He just loves you." Milo thumped his tail once, not convinced that was the whole explanation. Ethan rubbed his eyes. That was when his mom noticed. "Sweetheart," she said, coming closer. "Do your eyes hurt?" Ethan hesitated. Milo sat up. "Yes," Ethan admitted. "They feel tired. And my head feels tight." Milo whined. Soft. Insistent. His mom knelt in front of Ethan, brushing his hair back gently. She leaned in, studying his face in the warm kitchen light. The overhead bulb hummed quietly above them. "You look pale," she said. Ethan shrugged again. "I didn't want to stop reading," he whispered. "I thought I was just being bad at it." Something in her expression changed. Not panic. Recognition. She straightened and looked at Ethan's dad. "I think we should check his temperature." Milo stood immediately, as if summoned by the words. They moved to the couch. Ethan sat. Milo climbed up beside him without waiting for permission, pressing his side into Ethan's ribs. His mom held the thermometer under Ethan's tongue. They waited. Milo's tail was completely still. The beep came sooner than expected. His mom looked down at the screen, then looked again. Her smile didn't come back right away. "Well," she said gently, "you've got a fever." Ethan blinked. "I do." "That would explain a lot," his dad said quietly. Milo exhaled, a long audible breath, and rested his head against Ethan's leg, like something inside him had finally unlocked. "You didn't do anything wrong," his mom said, brushing Ethan's cheek with her thumb. "Your body's been working hard all day." Ethan's throat tightened. "So, the words weren't moving because I'm bad at reading?" "No," she said firmly. "They were moving because you weren't feeling well." Ethan swallowed. Relief washed over him so suddenly it almost hurt. Milo wagged his tail. Slow. Certain. Later that night, Ethan lay in bed with a cool cloth on his forehead. The room was dim, lit only by the soft glow of a lamp on the dresser. Outside, rain had started light at first, then steady. The sound tapped gently against the window. Milo lay curled against Ethan's side. Not at the foot of the bed. Not on the floor. Right there. His mom had tried to move him once. Milo had looked at her calmly, then pressed closer to Ethan without a sound. She hadn't tried again. "You okay?" Ethan whispered. Milo's tail thumped once against the blanket. Ethan stared up at the ceiling, listening to the rain. His body felt heavy now. Warm. Safe. "I thought you were being bad," he said quietly. "I thought you were messing everything up." Milo lifted his head, looked at him, then licked his chin, slow and deliberate. Ethan smiled weakly. "I didn't know I was sick," he said. "But you did." Milo lowered his head back down, satisfied. The next morning brought answers. A doctor's office that smelled like disinfectant and paper. A waiting room with a fish tank bubbling quietly in the corner. Milo wasn't allowed inside, so he waited in the car with Ethan's dad, watching through the window as Ethan and his mom disappeared through the glass doors. Ethan felt smaller there, more aware of his body. The doctor spoke gently, asked questions, shined lights into Ethan's eyes, had him read a few words from a chart. Ethan squinted, missed some, got others wrong. "That's okay," the doctor said quickly. "You've got a pretty strong infection brewing. Headaches, vision trouble, fatigue, all very common." Ethan's hands curled in his lap. "So, I'm not dumb?" he asked, barely above a whisper. The doctor smiled. "No," she said. "You're sick. And your dog probably noticed before anyone else." Ethan's chest filled with something warm and strange. Pride. Understanding. When they got back to the car, Milo erupted into motion. Tail wagging, whole body wiggling, paws scrambling as Ethan climbed in. He sniffed Ethan's face thoroughly, then settled only when he seemed satisfied. "He knew," Ethan said softly. His dad nodded. "Yeah, he really did." That afternoon Ethan slept. Deeply. For hours. Milo didn't leave his side. Not when the rain stopped. Not when the house grew quiet again. Not when the world moved on without them. He stayed because now everyone understood what he had known all along. The puppy hadn't been interrupting a story. He had been responding to one. A story written in breath and posture and heartbeat. A story only instinct could read. And finally, everyone was listening. The fever broke sometime before dawn. Not all at once. Just enough for Ethan's breathing to slow and deepen, for the restless heat to ease from his skin. The rain outside had faded to a quiet drip from the eaves. The house slept. Milo did not. He lay curled along Ethan's side, nose tucked beneath Ethan's chin, body curved protectively around him. Every so often his ears flicked. His tail shifted. He checked. Again and again. When Ethan stirred, Milo lifted his head instantly. Ethan murmured. His eyes opened halfway. The room was dim, gray-blue with early morning light. For a moment he didn't know where he was. Then he felt the steady warmth beside him. "Milo," he whispered. The puppy's tail thumped softly against the mattress. Ethan swallowed. His head still hurt, but the tight pressure was gone, replaced by a dull ache. Manageable. He took a slow breath. It didn't hurt. That alone felt like a victory. Milo sniffed Ethan's face carefully, the way he had the day before. His nose lingered at Ethan's forehead, then his neck. He exhaled, satisfied, and settled back down. "You stayed," Ethan said quietly. Milo didn't move. He didn't need to. Later that morning, the house woke gently. No alarms. No rushing. Ethan's mom came in first, moving slowly, carrying a glass of water and a small cup of medicine. "How are you feeling?" she asked softly. Ethan considered it. "Better," he said. "Tired." "That's okay," she replied. "You don't have to do anything today." Milo's ears perked at her voice, but he stayed pressed against Ethan. She smiled at him. "You did a good job," she whispered. Milo wagged his tail once. Proud. Ethan sat up carefully, Milo adjusting with him, always staying in contact. The world felt different now, quieter inside his head. The panic that had been buzzing under his skin for days had finally gone still. After medicine and a few sips of water, Ethan leaned back against his pillows. Milo climbed across his lap and curled there again, heavy and warm. Ethan wrapped his arms around him. "I thought something was wrong with me," Ethan said after a long pause. Milo's breathing stayed slow and steady. "I thought I just couldn't do it like everyone else." His voice wobbled. "But you knew I wasn't okay," he whispered. "Before I did." Milo lifted his head, looked at him, then rested his chin on Ethan's chest, exactly where Ethan's heartbeat thumped strongest. The rescue didn't feel dramatic. There were no sirens. No rush to the hospital in the middle of the night. It was quieter than that. It was a puppy refusing to move. Paw on a book. A body in the way. It was instinct holding a line when words couldn't. That afternoon, Ethan's dad carried the book into the bedroom. He didn't put it in Ethan's hands. He set it on the nightstand instead. "No reading today," he said. "Just resting." Ethan nodded. Milo watched the book carefully, then relaxed when it stayed closed. Later, when Ethan felt strong enough, his mom suggested they sit together on the couch. Sunlight streamed through the living room windows, bright and warm. Dust motes floated lazily in the air. Ethan lay back with a blanket over his legs. Milo climbed up without being invited and curled against his side. "You know," his mom said gently, "it's okay to stop when something feels wrong." Ethan stared at the ceiling. "I didn't want to disappoint anyone." Her hand rested on his hair. "You didn't," she said. "You listened. And Milo helped you do that." Milo thumped his tail. Ethan smiled. That evening something small but important happened. Ethan reached for the book himself. Milo noticed immediately. He lifted his head, ears forward, watching. Ethan paused, then looked at Milo. "I'm not going to read," he said. I just want to look at the pictures. Milo studied him. Then slowly, deliberately, he laid his head back down. Permission granted. Ethan opened the book and flipped through the pages without speaking. The pictures felt different now, less like a test, more like a place. A story he could enter when he was ready. Milo stayed pressed against him the entire time. The rescue wasn't just about stopping something. It was about creating space. Space to breathe. Space to heal. Space to learn that listening to your body wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. That night, as Ethan drifted toward sleep again, he felt Milo shift closer, making sure no gap remained between them. Milo! Ethan murmured. The puppy's ear flicked. Thank you. Milo sighed, long and content, and stayed right where he was. The danger had passed. The lesson had landed. And what remained was something steady and strong. A bond built not on words, but on knowing when to step in and when to stay. Recovery didn't arrive all at once. Came in small pieces. A morning where Ethan woke without a headache. An afternoon where his eyes didn't ache after looking at the window too long. A night where sleep came easily without tossing or strange dreams. Milo noticed every change. He always did. On the first day, Ethan felt strong enough to sit at the kitchen table again. Milo followed closely, nails clicking softly on the floor. He didn't crowd him, didn't block his path. He simply stayed within reach, close enough to touch, close enough to feel. How about some cereal? Ethan's mom asked. Ethan nodded. Milo sat beside his chair, tail sweeping slowly back and forth. The spoon clinked gently against the bowl. Sunlight filled the kitchen again, brighter than it had been all week. Outside, the rain had washed the air clean. Everything smelled fresh. New. Ethan took a bite. Chewed. Swallowed. No dizziness. He smiled without realizing it. Milo's tail wagged faster. That afternoon, they moved back into Ethan's room. Not for reading. Just to be there. Ethan lay on the carpet with his back against the bed. Milo stretched out beside him, paws touching Ethan's ankle. They listened to the distant sounds of the neighborhood. A lawn mower, a passing car, children laughing somewhere down the block. Normal sounds. Safe sounds. You don't have to guard me anymore, Ethan said quietly. Milo lifted one ear, then left the other flat on the floor. A compromise. Ethan reached over and scratched behind Milo's ear, slow and gentle. The puppy leaned into the touch, eyes drifting closed. For the first time since Milo had come home, Ethan noticed something new. Milo trusted him too. A few days later, Ethan's teacher sent home a note. Simple. Kind. No pressure. Just reassurance that they would take things slow when he returned. Ethan read it with his mom at the kitchen table. Read it silently. Milo watched his face closely. You okay? His mom asked. Ethan nodded. The words stayed still. Milo relaxed. That evening, Ethan surprised himself. He picked up the book. The same one. The one that had felt so heavy before. Milo noticed immediately. His head lifted. Ears forward. Body alert. Ethan sat on the floor like before, cross-legged, the book resting in his lap. He didn't open it right away. He just held it there. I'm not sick anymore, Ethan said softly. But if I feel weird, I'll stop. Milo studied him, then stepped closer. He sat down at Ethan's side, not in front of the book, not blocking it, just there, watching, ready. Ethan opened to the first page. He didn't rush. He took a breath, then another. Once upon a time, he read. The words came out steady, not perfect, but steady. Milo's tail thumped once against the carpet. Ethan smiled. He read a few more sentences. When a word slowed him down, he stopped. He didn't push. He didn't force it. He sounded it out quietly. When he finished the page, he closed the book. That's enough for today, he said. Milo wagged his tail. Hard. The next days followed that rhythm. Short moments. Plenty of breaks. No pressure. Milo learned the pattern quickly. He stayed relaxed during reading now, but his eyes never fully left Ethan's face. If Ethan paused too long or his breathing changed, Milo shifted closer. A reminder, not a warning. One afternoon, Ethan's dad watched from the doorway as Ethan read on the floor. Milo stretched beside him. "You two make a good team," his dad said quietly. Ethan glanced up. "Yeah," he said. "He helps me know when to stop." Milo thumped his tail in agreement. The healing wasn't just Ethan's. Milo changed too. He no longer startled as easily. No longer felt the need to block doors or books. His body stayed loose more often. His naps grew deeper. He had done his job, and he trusted the humans now to do theirs. One evening, Ethan lay on his bed while Milo chewed a toy nearby. The window was open, letting in cool air and the smell of grass. The sky outside faded from blue to gold. "Milo," Ethan said. The puppy looked up. "I think you're my best friend." Milo dropped the toy and patted over. He climbed onto the bed and curled beside Ethan, pressing his back against him. No urgency. No fear. Just closeness. Ethan stared at the ceiling, feeling Milo's steady warmth, listening to his breathing. Healing didn't feel like fixing something broken. Felt like learning. Learning when to slow down. Learning when to ask for help. Learning that love sometimes showed up as a small body in the way, and sometimes as quiet trust beside you. As night settled in, Ethan reached for the book one last time. Not to read, just to place it on the nightstand. Milo watched, then closed his eyes. Everything was where it belonged. They were healing. Together. And the bond between them, once tested, was growing stronger with every quiet, ordinary moment they chose to share. The season changed quietly. No one marked the day it happened. The mornings simply grew cooler. The light softened. Leaves gathered along the sidewalks in thin, drifting lines. Life moved forward the way it always did, gently, without asking permission. Ethan moved with it. He woke up early again, packed his backpack without rushing, ate breakfast at the table while Milo lay nearby, half awake, tail tapping the floor in slow, sleepy beats. "You ready?" Ethan's dad asked one morning. Ethan nodded. Milo stood, ready too. School settled back into Ethan's life in small steps. Short days at first. Extra patience. Teachers who listened. No one pushed him to read when his head felt tired. No one told him to hurry. At home, reading changed shape. It wasn't a test anymore. It was a choice. Some afternoons, Ethan read out loud. Other days, he didn't. Sometimes he just talked about school, about recess, about things that made him laugh or things that made his chest feel tight. Milo listened to all of it. He always lay close, never blocking now, never interrupting. But if Ethan's voice dipped too low, or his breathing shifted, Milo's ears lifted. His body leaned in. A quiet question. Ethan learned to answer it. "I'm okay," he would say. Or, "I need a break." Both were allowed. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the walls with gold, Ethan sat on the living room floor with a new book. Harder than the last one. Thicker. More words. Milo lay beside him. Relaxed. Trusting. Ethan opened to the first page. He read slowly. Carefully. He stumbled once, then smiled and tried again. The words held still. The story unfolded. When he finished the chapter, he didn't feel tired. He felt proud. Milo wagged his tail as if he'd known all along this moment would come. Later that night, Ethan lay in bed while Milo circled once and curled at his feet. Outside, the neighborhood settled into sleep. A distant dog barked. Somewhere a car door closed. Ethan stared at the ceiling. "You know," he said softly, "you saved me." Milo's ear flicked. "I mean, not like in movies," Ethan continued. "But you knew when something was wrong. And you didn't stop trying." Milo shifted closer, resting his chin against Ethan's ankle. Ethan smiled. "Even when I didn't listen." Milo sighed, deep in content, the sound of a job long finished. The bond between them wasn't loud. Didn't need to be. It lived in small things. In the way Milo walked beside Ethan, never pulling ahead. In the way Ethan checked Milo's ears for signs of worry. In the quiet understanding that passed between them without words. They had learned each other's language. Not commands, not rules, but signals, trust, instinct. One afternoon, months later, Ethan sat on the floor again. Same spot, same sunlight, reading to Milo like he always had. His voice was steady now, confident. Milo's eyes were closed, but he wasn't asleep. He never fully was. He listened, just in case. Ethan turned the page, smiled, and kept going, because sometimes the strongest bonds aren't formed in moments of danger, but in the quiet times after, when everything is calm again, when healing has taken root, when a child learns that listening to himself, to others, to a small heartbeat beside him, is its own kind of strength, and when a puppy learns that his instincts were right, and that love was worth standing in the way for.